You are listening to the So Now What podcast with Lana Manikowski, episode number 144.
So now what? These three words raced through my mind time and time again during my journey through fertility treatments. I tried desperately to have a child, but never was able. I yearned for a community to join that could understand my struggles. I couldn't find one, so I created one with the So Now What podcast. I love that you found us.
Hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of the So Now What podcast. Today, I want to touch on a topic that I have found come up quite often with some of the people that I have been coaching and when I've been doing Thrive calls lately and just understanding all the different places that women who are childless after infertility often feel overlooked. And this is one that I think is really going to resonate with you this week because it is so common that society fails to take you, me, us seriously because we didn't have children. So if you're a woman who is navigating life without children, you've likely encountered moments where your role as a grown up feels diminished or misunderstood. So I'd love to talk this week about why this happens and how it impacts you. And if you are on my mailing list, you have probably heard that this is my final week to sign up to work with me in the Thrive After Infertility Mastermind. This is the final class of the year. And in many ways, one of my bonus classes, like you get more than Thrive After Infertility in this class, because we are working on all things holidays, how to help you feel supported during Thanksgiving, how to help you feel supported during Halloween, which, my gosh, if you live anywhere like I live, there are decorations everywhere and everything is so holiday and Halloween centric. And then, of course, during Christmas and the holidays that have such tradition connected to them and such a place of thinking that without kids, you can't continue to celebrate the holidays in the way that you thought. Traditions that might have been generations long in your family might feel like they're ending with you. If that is something that you are interested in exploring more on, I can help you in the Thrive After Infertility Mastermind. That is kind of like our bonus time of year when my students in the fall class get to have this extra support around the holidays. So if you're wanting to learn more, you can go to LanaManikowski/Thrive, or I will put a link in the show notes to schedule a Thrive call. It's a 45-minute free call where we're going to just kind of talk about everything that you might be going through. If Thrive is the right thing that will help you start to create a life where you feel like you are thriving and feeling fulfilled without the children that you dreamed of. So I hope you decide to do that. The link to the free call, again, is going to be here in the show notes. So let's talk about how you might not feel as though you have relevance or you have grown up or graduated into adulthood in your family because you don't have kids. So I want you to picture this, that you're at Thanksgiving this year. You're going to be surrounded by your cousins, aunts, uncles, and conversations naturally turn into parenting stories or maybe the latest milestones that your nieces or nephews or your cousins have been a part of, and you find yourself on the sidelines. The achievements that you are continuing to create for yourself at work and the promotions and the recognition, the awards, all the things that have been part of your accomplishments, maybe your hobbies or personal growth that you have been part of, often take a back seat to these discussions that seem to be so centered around children. So, despite your success and your contributions, it might feel like your life isn't valued in the same way because you haven't raised children. Or maybe you see this in the workplace. You have been excelling at your career, you're dedicated, you're skilled, you have made significant contributions in your organization or on your team. But when it comes to discussions about work life balance or future career prospects, the assumption that you don't have children might lead your colleagues or supervisors to overlook your commitments outside of work. And so your decisions and these ambitions may be viewed through a lens that assumes your life is just lacking complexity or responsibility or these expectations of things that you should be juggling because You have not experienced parenthood. So your decisions and ambitions may be overlooked or viewed through a different lens that assumes your life lacks the complexity or responsibility that parenthood supposedly brings. So these scenarios oftentimes contribute to a sense of being an outsider. Like, gosh, think about how long you have been suffering with feeling like an outsider. It could have been back in your elementary school days when they were picking teams and you were the last one to be picked, or in high school when there was like the popular clique and you might not have been part of that clique and you felt like an outsider. So, even amongst friends and extended family and colleagues, all these years later, those feelings of being an outsider still seem prominent in your life. When parenthood becomes part of that shared experience and you feel like you just don't relate and you're not on the same level of everyone around you, and that your priorities and your daily routines and even your values can diverge, leaving you feeling isolated and likely misunderstood. So, what do we do when that happens to us? It is common that we shrink ourselves, right? You want to navigate these dynamics. You might just not know how to do it. You don't want to put yourself out there as somebody who stands out or isn't like the rest of the clan. And so you shrink parts of yourself. And maybe you find yourself downplaying your achievements or avoid sharing aspirations or dreams or plans for the future because you fear that they won't be taken seriously. And you have this pressure to conform to these societal expectations of what it means to be responsible as an adult. It can feel very suffocating. And it might lead you to a greater sense of self doubt about what you're doing in this life and feeling inadequate because you aren't being seen as like this valuable member in society or in your family or in the workplace. What I want to remind you of is that your worth and your relevance are not defined by whether you do or don't have children. And I know that might be hard to put your arms around right now. The journey that you have been on through navigating this unexpected childlessness and these passions that you have to figure life out without children and these contributions that you are showing up daily offering to the world matter deeply. I see them all the time. Like, I love to meet other women who don't have children and women who are childless after infertility and celebrate the hell out of them because we do not get that enough. I love to be the cheerleader for people like us. And I think it's really important to figure out how to reclaim this narrative and this way of being that has you feeling confident in your place of conversations and feeling as though you have meaning when you show up to these spaces that often overlook this richness of what you are, who you are, and what you continue to accomplish with your life. So, how do you do that? It seems like, oh, yeah, it sounds great, but how do I do it? Start by recognizing and celebrating your own achievements and your milestones. I waited a long time for somebody else to do it, only to realize that I wasn't doing the things that I wanted to see other people do. I wasn't recognizing the things that I was accomplishing. I wasn't proud of who I was when I got a promotion or I won President's Club or I had all these amazing things that I was getting recognized for. And it's hard when you feel like you are not surrounded by supportive individuals who value you. So, where can you find those people who value you and want to support you and want to celebrate you? How do you engage in conversations that highlight your strengths and your passions, reminding yourself and others of the multifaceted person that you are beyond parenthood? So, I want you to really think about the fact that you don't have to have children to be a grown up. You can look at yourself as somebody who is worth being taken seriously and somebody who is making life changing impacts in this world in your own right. Society just happens to have this narrow definition of what it means to be grown up. And maybe for some, that means getting married and having kids. But that is not the actual norm that everybody has to follow and has to attach themselves to. So please don't let being a mom define you as an adult in this life. I'd love for you to just embrace who you are today. Look at yourself and be proud of the person that has shown up day after day, continuing to slay life, even though it looks so differently than you thought. And if you want more support in doing this, join me in the Thrive After Infertility Mastermind. Sign up for a Thrive call. Know that you can be heard and you will be heard by me and the many other women who have decided that they are ready to thrive and feel fulfilled, even though they didn't have the children that they dreamed of. So I hope that you have a beautiful week. I love you. And remember that it's never too late to discover your meaning. I'll talk to you next week.
Hey, real quick, I just wanted to tell you about an awesome resource I created. If you have ever found yourself in conversations with people, or maybe people offering you suggestions about what you should do to become a mom, it's called the Top 27 Things People Say When You're Childless and How to Respond. You can get your copy free at lanamanikowski.com/things people say.